This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the opposition leader says he's listening to the polytechnic sector on a visit to Dunedin. Hundreds of Dunedin pupils are expected to trade pens for placards and strike for the future of the environment. And a pioneering Dunedin surgeon is among those being remembered in a tapestry panel as part of an exhibition. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. The opposition leader has heard firsthand the concerns of local leaders regarding plans to amalgamate all New Zealand polytechs and institutes under one governing body. MP Simon Bridges says he's interested in the Otago Polytechnic's alternative proposal regarding the planned merger.
National Party leader Simon Bridges getting a tour of Otago Polytechnic today to help understand why Southern tertiary education keeps punching above its weight. Dunedin-based National MP Michael Woodhouse and Polytech Chief Operating Officer Philip Cullen told Bridges a government proposal to merge the country's polytechs will erode the reputation of education brands in the south.
Whether you're a doctor or a midwife or a nurse, you say you were trained in Otago, that matters. And my concern is that there's a real risk of, it's not reputation loss, but it's identity loss.
We've already had several inquiries from students saying, I don't want a certificate or a diploma or degree that says NZIST. Yeah. I want Otago Polytechnic.
And one of them is my daughter, who's here and graduating in midwifery at the end of next year.
Otago Polytechnic is submitting a counter plan which will allow polytechnics to maintain autonomy and retain character, culture and branding. While Maori make up 6% of the Otago population, Maori make up 16% of Otago Polytechnic students. Academic Megan Potiki says connections built up with local representatives are at risk.
Actually, we've got an incredibly good relationship with all Runanga here. There's MOUs with the four Runanga here. Our achievement for Māori students is good in sectors in the Polytech here, and you take that away, and those relationships are in jeopardy.
The Polytech's Deputy Chief Executive, Joe Brady, says their alternative proposal has been well received across the country.
This model is being socialised around the country at the moment. In fact, with the other Chief Executives and Councils of the other ITPs. And it's receiving quite favourable feedback. But it has been generated here, and we are just trying to get the buy-in and support, but also the refinement. There could be further refinement to it, but I think in essence we've really got something that we think could work.
Bridges says he's interested in the proposal, but is concerned it will get watered down to no one's satisfaction.
The risk is with that short consultation period that it comes out with a decision that's different from the terrible solution, but actually has a whole different set of problems, because maybe it's some of this and some of that, and and no one really, no one's happy.
The government proposal is currently undergoing a 6-week consultation period, with the deadline for submissions at the end of March. In Dunedin, for The South Today.
A woman left in a critical condition following a Queenstown car crash appears to have been abandoned by others in the vehicle. Police believe 2 other people were in the black Honda Odyssey when it crashed on Gorge Road at 4 a.m. yesterday. The crash at the rear of the Gorge Road Retail Centre wasn't discovered until 10:30 a.m. when emergency services were called. The 22-year-old woman was extracted from the car and taken by ambulance to Lakes District Hospital. She was later transferred to Dunedin Hospital and remains in a very critical condition. Police say the woman doesn't appear to have been the driver of the car, and they believe there were 2 other occupants at the time of the crash. Hundreds of Dunedin pupils are expected to trade pens for placards and strike for the future of the environment tomorrow. Young climate activists from many Dunedin schools, accompanied by supporters of all ages, will gather in the Octagon to join the global school strike for climate movement.
Logan Park High School pupils getting ready for tomorrow's school strike for climate protest. They're behind Dunedin's contribution to the global event, which will see tens of thousands of students around the world take the day off school in the name of climate change.
We want to make sure that people who are coming really know what it's about, so we want everyone to come because we want to educate people about the climate crisis. So we'll definitely have some information about what's going on, a little bit of facts, a bit of a why are we here, what's going on.
The students have a clear message to send to the government and the public.
So what we don't want is global warming to exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius as part of the UN Climate Summit Agreement and the IPCC report. So how we want to go about this is reducing carbon emissions by essentially reducing oil, gas and coal extraction, and reducing agricultural emissions.
We want to limit agricultural emissions as well because the dairy and intensive farming industry are also emitting quite a lot.
The global movement was started in Sweden by 16-year-old Greta Thunberg, who was on strike every day until the 2018 Swedish election.
Kind of aggravating seeing all these issues and none of them are being taken seriously enough. And Greta Thunberg striking every day in Sweden has been really inspiring.
The students say it's not just a day of school, it's about sending a clear message about acting on climate change now. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Crusaders rugby fans are being urged to stay away from Forsyth Bar Stadium if they're sick this weekend, after a second case of measles has been confirmed in Dunedin. Southern District Health Board Medical Officer of Health, Mariam Poor, says the second case was confirmed late on Tuesday and involved a Christchurch visitor to Dunedin. With Crusaders rugby fans heading south for this weekend's Super Rugby clash with the Highlanders, Dr Poor is advising those with symptoms of illness to stay at home. The warning comes as confirmed cases in Canterbury's measles outbreak have risen to 27. Pioneering maxillofacial surgeon Henry Percy Pickerel is one of the people remembered in a tapestry panel as part of a touring exhibition. An image of him and many other notable people is currently adorning the walls at Dunedin's Toitoi Settlers Museum.
Finding the point of war at the point of a needle. More than 40 tapestry panels of people and scenes from World War I are currently hanging in Dunedin's Toitoi Settlers Museum. And the acting visitor experience manager says the panels tie Otago to a hospital at Walton-on-Thames where many Anzacs were treated.
Well, yes, I mean obviously there were quite a few of the soldiers who were treated at the hospital were Dunedin and Otago soldiers. There are a few specific Dunedin and Otago personages whose stories are stitched into the fabric of the exhibition, as it were.
In 1917, Henry Percy Pickerel established a jaw department at the 2nd New Zealand General Hospital near London, where he treated New Zealand soldiers returning from the fronts in Belgium and France. Cornelius says the medium of embroidery on panels is an old way of telling a story, which he says fits the history of the Great War.
This is a very sort of traditional, historic medium for telling stories, you know, that pictographic form and using stitch as a medium to convey historic stories as like a documentary artefact. So in some ways there's a really strong link to that tradition.
The Soldiers' Hospital was also known as the Mount Felix Hospital. The tapestries are a community stitch project created by more than 600 people in both England and New Zealand over the last few years.
There's been a huge amount of interest locally here for stitch and embroidery projects and displays and exhibitions. So the time I've worked at the museum, they've always been very, very popular. So we certainly anticipate people who are interested in this sort of thing will be really keen to come along and have a look.
The exhibition commemorates the 27,000 Kiwi soldiers who were treated at the English hospital from 1915 onwards and the doctors and nurses who cared for them. It runs until late April and Cornelius expects the busiest time to be Anzac Day. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. Concern grows for a missing North Dunedin man, and we hear what advice an international relations expert has for the government on the New Zealander jihad situation.
Every Kiwi deserves a reliable garage door. Rely on Garador to protect your important stuff. Just like Darren. His Garador keeps his favourite ride in mint condition. We have a huge range at affordable prices. Visit our website for a free consultation. We stand behind every door.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489-2274.
Oh, help! Don't suffer in silence. Call Sunny Chin, Chi Master Body Technician for structural, muscular, emotional bodywork. Phone 03 4250 606 for all your pain relief.
At Green Island Medical Centre, we are committed in caring for our future and present generations. We know as a young person, coming to the doctors can be quite daunting. Our highly skilled doctors and nurses will make your experience one where you will leave with a smile. Your health is very important to us.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
ID Dunedin Fashion Week is celebrating 20 years and you're invited to the show. One amazing show, 2 nights, Friday 15 and Saturday 16 March at Dunedin's Regent Theatre. The show features ID International Emerging Designer Awards and a runway show from 16 of New Zealand's leading established designers. Tickets are available from Ticket Direct. Grab a group of friends and book today. For all the details, www.idfashion.co.nz.
Welcome back. Police and Search and Rescue have ramped up the search for a missing North Dunedin man. 54-year-old Andrew Gither was last seen at noon on Tuesday. Police say volunteers from the Clutha and Catlin Search and Rescue groups have joined Dunedin groups in efforts to locate the man. Police have concerns for his welfare. He's thought to have been wearing black jeans, a black t-shirt with white writing across the chest and black Doc Marten boots. Police are urging anyone with information to call them or Crime Stoppers. International relations expert Professor Robert Patman says the New Zealand government needs to take Kiwi jihadi Mark Taylor out of circulation. Taylor's been in the Middle East with terrorist organisation ISIS for 5 years and is now in a Kurdish-controlled prison in Syria. In this latest edition of Global Insight, Professor Patman tells ODT features writer Bruce Munro bringing Taylor back to New Zealand isn't the soft option.
Kiwi jihadi Mark Taylor spent 5 years in the Middle East with terrorist organisation ISIS. He's now in jail in Syria. Should we leave him there? Should we bring him home? Welcome, Robert.
Good morning, Bruce.
Mark Taylor seems in some ways an alarming figure and in other ways perhaps tragic, maybe even comical. What do we know about him and his bumbling ways?
Well, Mark Taylor has an interesting background. He served in the New Zealand Army, and then around about 2009 he attempted to join Al-Qaeda in the Middle East. And to cut a long story short, he lost his passport in Australia. He was based in Australia because of his terrorist connections. So both New Zealand intelligence and Australian intelligence have had their eye on him. He managed to get back his New Zealand passport in 2012, went to Indonesia, where he taught English for a while, and then suddenly left his wife and family in Indonesia and went to Syria, where the civil war was on, and subsequently joined ISIS. And I think the reference to bumbling is that he's very fond of the social media, and in one use of Twitter, he gave away not only his own the coordinates of his own position when he tweeted, but also those of the ISIS organisation, which I'm sure didn't go down very well. So he's done well to survive that, actually.
Right. Well, what's the state of play now for him?
He's being detained by the Kurds, who've been the most effective oppositional group to ISIS. The Kurds have been supported by the United States, but the Kurds have precious few resources, and it's expected that they will ask the countries where these citizens, these foreign fighters come from, like Mark Taylor, to take these citizens back.
Some are saying leave him there. Some are saying that he needs help. Others are saying he should be brought back to New Zealand to face justice. I'd like to hear from you what you think we should be doing, but first, is there anything we shouldn't be doing?
Well, what we shouldn't be doing, I think, is fudging the situation. And I think that's what we're doing at the moment. The position at the moment of the government, supported by the opposition, is wait and see. And I don't think that's good enough for two reasons. Firstly, much as we may feel repulsion about Mark Taylor's involvement in ISIS, we also have to sympathise for the victims of ISIS. Those people who are brutally murdered by ISIS, whether they be Kurds, Syrians or Iraqis. And so we have a responsibility. He has a New Zealand passport, and or he did have before he burnt it. And under the Geneva Conventions, he can't be made stateless by New Zealand. So what the New Zealand government seems to be saying, and I think this is not the wise approach, is that we will honour our international obligations under the Geneva Conventions, but we're in no hurry to do so, which really seems to be a halfway house solution. And somehow he's got to make his own way to the Turkish embassy, where we have the New Zealand embassy in Turkey, and register and fly himself back to New Zealand. This is someone who's been part of a criminal organisation, and he should be brought back with speed to face justice in this country. We have the Terrorist Suppression Act to deal with it.
Okay, can you expand on that for me? You're saying our government should bring him back to New Zealand.
Yes.
Why would we want to do that?
Because he's a member of a criminal organisation. We joined the coalition in the war on terror. We have to face up to the obligations that involves. And the fact is that he's only one of maybe up to 10 New Zealanders who participated, fought for ISIS. It's no good politicians playing the populist line that New Zealanders don't want him back. It's, many of us don't want to pay tax, but we have to pay it. And the fact of the matter is, we passed the legislation to deal with precisely this situation, as a New Zealand citizen who may have committed a terrorist offence. And so we need to take him out of circulation. There's a strategic reason here. If someone who has been part of a terrorist organisation is detained, it's incumbent that that person is basically not freed after being detained to do their own thing in the Middle East, but brought back to the country of origin to face the full rigour of the law. This is not a soft option, but this is the strategic and diplomatic necessity, in my view, that New Zealand needs to do.
Thanks, Robert. And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight.
After the break on The South Today, visiting designers check out the sites around Dunedin with local photography students as part of ID Fashion Week. And we see what the weather has in store for the rest of the ID Dunedin Fashion Week, so stay with us.
Most of us have spots on our skin. That's quite normal. Finding skin cancer as early as possible is key to successful treatment. Book in for a free check of 1 to 2 moles or a comprehensive full body check with the Mole Doctor in Waverley.
At Green Island Medical Centre, we are committed in caring for our future and present generations. We know as a young person, coming to the doctors can be quite daunting. Our highly skilled doctors and nurses will make your experience one where you will leave with a smile. Your health is very important to us.
Dunedin Beds R Us are having a stock clearance sale during the month of February, up to 50% off New Zealand-made Sleepyhead beds. Come see Ricky and the team at 505 Princess Street, next to Armstrong Prestige. Plenty of parking.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
ID Dunedin Fashion Week is celebrating 20 years and you're invited to the show. One amazing show, 2 nights, Friday 15 and Saturday 16 March at Dunedin's Regent Theatre. The show features ID International Emerging Designer Awards and a runway show from 16 of New Zealand's leading established designers. Tickets are available from Ticket Direct. Grab a group of friends and book today. All the details, www.idfashion.co.nz.
Thanks for staying with us. Visiting designers have seen the sights of Dunedin while local photography students learned their craft on a day of well-documented fashion tourism yesterday. 26 emerging designers took their designs to Larnac Castle, Emerson's Brewery, Glenfalloch First Church and the Dunedin Railway Station.
Striking a pose inside Dunedin's First Church, just one stop on a sightseeing tour of the city for a group of visiting emerging designers. They're in town for the annual ID Fashion Show, giving the public a small glimpse of their work.
Showing your work outside your country, it means a lot to see it in, in an international competition, meeting people from other countries too, and showing the world our ideas and our design, our creativity, everything.
Fashion Week organisers say visiting designers are usually too busy to see Dunedin, so they made the effort to show them the likes of Glenfalloch and Larnac Castle.
We went sightseeing all around the town. We came from the castle. It was really nice and we're really enjoying it.
She's part of a team of designers from Buenos Aires University selected to take part in this year's Emerging Designer Awards.
We are like communicators. So for us it's like very important what we communicate through our clothes.
They were followed on their travels by students from Otago Polytech's Communication Design course who were getting some real-life experience in photography. Professional photographers followed them all to document the event. Judges will give an award to the designer whose garments look the best as photographed at Dunedin Landmarks, a small precursor to the main event starting tomorrow.
We're really nervous. I mean, the language, it's different, so it's kind of difficult, but we'll manage.
The Emerging Designer Show and the Fashion Show are being run together on the same night for the first time. It all starts at the Regent Theatre tomorrow night with a repeat performance on Saturday in Dunedin, the South Today. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today.
The opposition leader has heard firsthand the concerns of local leaders regarding plans to amalgamate all New Zealand polytechs and institutes under one governing body. Hundreds of Dunedin pupils are expected to trade pens for placards and strike for the future of the environment tomorrow. And pioneering maxillofacial surgeon Henry Percy Pickerel is one of the people remembered in a tapestry panel as part of a touring exhibition. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Craig Page. What have you got for us in tomorrow's paper?
Good evening. Yeah, more on measles, as you can imagine. Yesterday we reported 2 cases identified in Dunedin and concerns about all these Canterburyans coming to our city at the weekend. Local medical centres have reported today that they've been flat out with Dunedin people checking on their immunisation status, but also parents wanting to get their children immunised as well. Some concerns out of Port Chalmers with a kindergarten out there which had been visited by one of these Canterbury people with measles last week. They'd been temporarily put into isolation, but they'd been stood down now, but some concerns for parents out there as well about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Also got the ID Fashion Show continuing today. Big day today for the emerging designers. It was judging today. Everything on show, including a jacket which doubles as a sleeping bag, particularly handy for Dunedin. And
sounds like my kind of wear.
Yeah, and designers also taking some inspiration from dead parrots of all things. So big show tomorrow night. So we'll also have full coverage of that over the weekend, and plenty on the sports front as well with the Rugby Highlanders Crusaders. We've got the naming of the home side today as well, and a reasonably strong side. Will it be enough? We'll soon find out at the weekend.
Well, fingers crossed it will be. Lovely, thank you. And you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by MoleMap.
Beginning with the southern view of the onset of autumn with orange leaves on the ground. Looking at the situation, a ridge of high pressure should keep most of the region fine tomorrow, but a late southwesterly change may bring brief showers along the coast. A dry Sunday follows, but expect some cloud. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect a wet day with 20-degree highs. Across to the northeast, Nelson and Blenheim are set for cloudy skies, showers and a top temperature of 23 degrees. In Canterbury, you can expect a wet day with 22 degrees for Kaikoura, and Christchurch heads towards a high of 19, while Ashburton is due for showers and 18. In the southern towns, expect light winds, some cloud. The Catlins and Balclutha head for 16, while Lumsden and Gore are looking at highs of 17 degrees. Heading westwards to the Central Lakes, light winds and mostly cloudy skies are the order of the day. Wanaka, you're in for showers, but Queenstown, Alexandra and Tiana can all expect 15-degree highs. To the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru are in for light northeasterly showers and a high of 16. Twizel and Marama, you're looking at light wind showers and a high of 15 degrees for both of you. In Dunedin, fine tonight with northeasterlies and an overnight low of 9. Mostly fine tomorrow with sunny periods and some cloud with moderate to fresh breezy northeasterlies. Some rain develops later on with a cool southwesterly change, a high of 16 degrees and an overnight low of 9. And cloud breaking and sunny periods increasing on Saturday with moderate cool southwest winds, looking at a high of 14 and a low of 9 degrees. And in Invercargill, it's going to be fine tonight with an overnight low of 9. Fine tomorrow with sunny periods with some high cloud and light northerlies, and getting colder, cooler southwesterlies developing during the evening, aiming for a high of 18 and a low of 8. Becoming fine and sunny on Saturday with cool southwesterlies dying out, looking at a high of 15 degrees and a low of 5. And that's all for our news this Thursday. Have a great night. Goodbye.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear. Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.